Hello, my name is Tony Aiello, and I'm an actor, ex-actor. I was in Hollywood for about 20 years. I did some television, commercials, and a couple small films. And my friend Eddie Rivera and I talked about our careers. He is a collector. He collects interesting memorabilia from way back, and he's got all different products and toys and magazines and books and a myriad of wonderful artifacts and memorabilia, which we'll be talking about in the show and which you'll have the opportunity to purchase. We'll be talking about common sense primarily. This is the stock and trade that I believe we have to offer. The title of our show will be Two Guys with Common Sense and a Product. And we believe that this is what's missing in the world today. And in our conversation with each other and other people, they've agreed with us that that is what's missing in religion, in politics, in media, in the economy. Everything in the world is kind of up in the air today. There's so much confusion and so much that has to be done, and not a lot of people have answers. And we believe the reason is they're thinking too much. And we believe it comes down to basic common sense. And Thomas Paine wrote a book many years ago, one of our founding fathers, and it's called Common Sense. And we advise people to read that great book. We're strong believers in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. We believe in our country. We believe in God. And we have something we think will be of interest to everybody. And I'd like to have my friend Ed Rivera come out now and share with you his view of our show and what...
Hello, Tony. It is a pleasure to see you today.
Hello,
How are you? It's a pleasure being here today.
Well, you sure about that?
Yes, it is, sir. I hear that you've already told you in public here that the title of our new show, Two Guys with Common Sense and a Product.
Yes, I did that.
It's Tony's idea. I really like it, Tony.
Thank you, Ed.
It hits in today's...
How do you really feel about this?
I feel very good about the show, Tony. I really feel that it's going to work out, and one of the best things I like about our show is, Tony, is the fact that we work together as a team. We'll be able to together come up with people, I mean, great, especially on your side. You have people you can interview, famous people you come across.
We have.
I have, but not as much as you do, Tony. Don't give me the credit on this. This is basically something that's happening because you came on the scene.
We're also going to have fun in the show.
We're going to have a lot of fun in the show, and in fact,
I think we should even have food.
One of the things I want to ask you, Tony, have you told them anything about your expertise in working with Batman and Robin?
I didn't talk about my resume, which we'll get into that. Basically, my resume it's not great. I mean, I was called a day player. The different type work is that you're contracted by the week, or sometimes you're hired for one day. And sometimes they're very important roles. There's no such thing as a small role, just small actors, Sunset Boulevard. And I was not an extra, but I was a day player, which was primarily the work I had. But I had a few big parts.
You appeared, I believe, in 3 Batmans, correct?
I appeared in 2, and I also did a voiceover for the 3rd. But I was in Bookworm Turns, Gotham City Burns with Roddy McDowell. And I did The Ice Spy with Eli Wallach, who was a great actor. I did Roddy too. And great experience. One in Hawaii Five-0 with Jack Lloyd. I'd say those are probably the biggest shows I did.
The biggest shows are those. And now you do have in your collection. Here's another thing I wanted you to tell the people out there. My friend Tony here has like the old-fashioned libraries where you go and you have a card file and you pick up the book you're looking for. Well, he's got the same thing, but with a collection of over 1,500 movies that he has recorded or kept over time. Want to tell me a little bit about that, Tony?
Well, I had to have a good file because there's so many of them. I have friends that have them laying around the house or in boxes, but when they want to see a movie, you want to go right to it. And I believe time is precious. I'm one of those, I want everything done right away.
Right away.
And it's been a problem for mine, but also is good. And I have I call it it's cross-filing, alphabetically and by date. So I know by 1939 I've got
so if I ask you, do you have Steve Reeves in the Trojan Horse?
The answer is no.
You don't have the movie. Come on, Tony. What are you doing?
You're the big Reeves freak. I like the good movies.
Well,
I know they're fine.
One of the things, Tony, that I used to like about Steve Reeves is that I think he was the ultimate Hercules. Back in the day, Steve Reeves did his job. I thought he was great. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that Steve Reeves was Hercules. Then you had George Reeves, who was Superman, the original, 1960s, which everybody calls the real Superman. and then you had the new one that he had the accident, Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
And ironically, they all had the same last name.
Interesting, I never thought of
One
that.
of the things, Tony, I don't know if you
That's
ever noticed it, but going back in the days of comic books, like you have introduced me as a comic book collector, aficionado. Basically, I'm a novelty collector, Tony. For 40 years, I have amassed a huge collection
How did
of
you get
comic book
started in
items.
that?
Well, back in the early 1970s, I would say like
I thought you were going to say
1971,
1900s.
well, not 1900, Tony. I'm not that old, Tony. Come on. Well, what I did is I would order everything out of comic books. I lived in Manhattan at the time, in Washington Heights, and my mom wouldn't really let me go out too much, you know. So she would buy me a comic book, and I asked her, can I get 50 cents for this? And I started ordering things. But the thing that was funny, Tony, that for some reason, I always kept them. I always kept them in the original condition I got them in. I did use some of my stuff and did break some, but then I would reorder and, you know, compensate for whatever I broke, and I still have my collection intact. Over time, I have bought probably hundreds and hundreds of comic books, not based on what the comic book was about. If it had an ad, I would buy the comic book. So basically what I've done is I've become a collector of novelties. That's comic book novelties.
Are there many people like you who do this?
I believe there are, Tony, because I've come across on the internet, especially when I've done eBay, and I've gotten hundreds of emails of people, oh, I wanted to order that as a kid. The most popular one was the 7-foot nuclear submarine. In fact, the 7-foot nuclear submarine that you could send away for $6.98 was so popular that somebody in CSI, the show CSI New York, they did a special episode. I think it was CSI season 4, where they had the one show that was just based on kind of like what the sub did, that some little girl orders the sub with a kid and the girl dies or drowns in the show. I never actually seen the episode yet, Tony, but I know it was based on the actual
Now, what if I wanted to see your comic books? Is there a way that you could get them on the internet where we could see your comic books?
Well, Tony, actually, my comic books, I have so many.
Or your other items, too?
Yes, my comic books, I have about 14,000 plus, okay, in my collection. And I collected them mostly for the advertisements in them.
14, where do you put them?
I have, ready for this, I have two 10 by 30 foot storages. That's 10 by 30 feet, where you can only probably fit a shoebox.
Are they all kept dry and safe?
They're all kept dry and safe. It's not just comic books. I have my entire novelty collection there.
Do you have armed guards around there?
Oh, I wish I could.
Claymore mines?
I don't have that privilege, no, Tony, I don't. But one of the things I can tell you though is that what I'm trying to do is, there was a gentleman that came over from Arkansas, a very good friend of mine, and in fact he has a very popular blog. And
You want to work
the name of his blog is called Secret Fun Spot. And a lot of people have become members of this blog, and in fact he has a pretty large following. He wrote a book about novelties. I was the guy that let him use my novelties for his book. He flew up from Arkansas, and we stayed up here for about 3 days together, going through my storage.
Let me stop you for the audience has to hear this, in my opinion. Tell the audience how many days it took to display all your memorabilia and photograph them.
Well,
was it 3 days?
No, I'm going to turn to the audience now so I can tell them. It took about 3 days, from about 8 in the morning to 12 midnight, and this is no kidding, displaying all the items that my friend was photographing so he could write this book. Now the book is going to be available, I believe it's early October.
That's amazing.
Okay, and it's going to include, it's like 100 and some pages. It's called Mail Order Mysteries. And you can actually find that on Amazon. You can buy the book on Amazon.com. It's going to be, I think it's on sale right now. They're taking pre-orders on it. I'm not sure.
Tell us how to find it. Because
you go to Amazon.com and you put Mystery Mail Order, or Mail Order Mystery, the title of the book, and you'll be able to see it.
I'd love to buy that. You're going to autograph it for me and everything?
Yes, I will autograph it. For you, Tony, I will do anything.
Your friend?
I will do anything. Your friend, Eddie. No, Tony, what I really want to do is, I'm trying to review.
What do you really want to do?
I want to try to get this book.
I like to do that to him.
He always does this to me. I'm going to try to get this book, once it's published, and the fact that my friend is going to be in the Comic-Con, this is the October New York Comic-Con, he's going to be displaying this book. I want to create everything, all the stuff there in the book, and I'm redoing my website as we speak right now, and I want to be able to sell everything in a retro fashion. It's going to be individually wrapped and it's going to be individually sold. Now, Tony, because I heard the beeper, we kind of ran out of time in the
Okay,
pilot.
time is short.
You've introduced yourself, and I think we're going to work together. Now, the final thing that I want to
I may
say
keep him. I'm thinking
is-
about it. He may be a keeper.
this gentleman and myself would like to hear from you. This is our show. We want to make it your show. We want you to be able to listen to it. We need to hear from you, so please write us at House of the Unusual. That's House of the Unusual at gmail.com. You can write us. We like to hear from you, what you think of our show, what you would like to see in our show. And having said that, Tony, is there any last word you'd like to say?
Yeah, we're going to have a wide and diverse group of interviewees. We're going to interview people of interest. We feel they're interesting people, and I think you will too. There'll be actors, there'll be professional actors, there'll be professional athletes, boxers, baseball players, basketball players, politicians, doctors, lawyers, housewives, hardworking people, a boxing manager, all kinds of people. Please write in what you'd like to see and like us to talk about. Remember, it's all about common sense.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, and we look forward to hearing from you.
I think we're going to keep it.
I like to keep myself to Tony.
And I think that's a keeper. You did good.
Perfect, perfect.
You were